The light is on. Talk radio. Discussing the events that may affect your life. And now, with your host, the one, the only, the very controversial, the I'll tell it like it is the way I see fit, the man himself, Big D.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Welcome, everyone, to The Light is On. Now, this is just a podcast. There is no call-in, so you can't call in and talk to me. I do not respond to chats in the chat room or anything. This is actually an update to an episode of a show that I do called The Rant. Now, this particular episode of The Rant that I did, it is actually entitled, the episode of The Rant that I did tonight is actually entitled Pierce, Kellar, Larson, Wrong on Obama. And it's just actually an update to that, explaining why I say those guys are wrong and things. That's all it is. Now, first you got to understand. You got to understand something. When I told you that these guys are wrong in their thinking, and what I was talking about is their view on Obama's gun control, because they believe President Barack Obama is trying to abolish the Second Amendment and take away your rights to have guns, and they believe that he's trying to control you. As I said in that episode, out of those three men that I mentioned, Wayne Pierce, Brian Kellar, Nick Larson, 2 out of the 3 of those men I have great respect for. I have high respect for Wayne Pierce, Reverend Wayne Pierce, by the way, and Reverend Brian Kellar. I respect them. Like I said, I don't think they're radicals. I never have. Their thinking is becoming radical. That's dangerous. No, I'll tell you why. Imagine for a moment, if you will, that your next door neighbor comes over and says, hey, there's an ice cream truck coming down the street in a little bit, and he's giving out free ice cream. Well, you get all hyper about it, and you get excited about it. And then someone else tells you, hey, there's an ice cream truck coming down the street. They didn't say he was giving away free ice cream. They just said he's coming down the street. But your first neighbor did. He said he was giving away free ice cream. Just because your neighbor told you that the ice cream truck is coming down the street and giving away free ice cream does not make it true. Even though in your heart you want it to be true, you want that ice cream truck to be giving away free ice cream so you can get free ice cream. So you go out there and you got it in your head and you tell a bunch of other people that it's giving away free ice cream. It doesn't make it true. Because the fact of the matter is, probably 99 times out of 100, if you go out there and try to get free ice cream from that truck, you're not going to get it. So just because these 3 men, as I said, 2 of them I respect very highly, have told you that Barack Obama is trying to abolish the Second Amendment, trying to take away your guns, doesn't mean it's so. Yes, Barack Obama signed 23 executive orders on gun control. At no point did he try to take away your rights to bear arms. At no point did he say he was trying to. At no point did the government say they were trying to. At no point. At no point did they lead up to this. At no point. So just because, Nick Larson and Wayne Pierce and Brian Kellar want you to think that he's trying to take away your guns doesn't mean it's true. Even though your heart wants it to be true, you want to blame Barack Obama for it. It doesn't mean it's true. That's just what someone is telling you. As I said in my episode of The Rant, go research it for yourself. Like I said, stay away from conspiracy theorist sites, because if you go to conspiracy theorist sites and look for truth, all you get is conspiracy theories. You don't get truth, you get conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories are just theories, things that have not been proved true yet. If something's been proved true beyond all reasonable doubt, it's not a conspiracy anymore. It's a fact. Well, conspiracy theorist sites, all they have is conspiracy theories, unproven things. So just because you want it to be true, because these men told you it was true, doesn't make it true. For years, we've been told by almost every single president since almost the 50s that you're going to lose. We've not been told by the president. We've been told by people since the 50s that you're going to lose your guns, that the government, the president, is going to try to take away your guns, your Second Amendment rights. They said it's a fact. But not in any of that time period, not one time, has the president or the government ever taken away your rights to bear arms. Yes, gun control laws have been made. Yes, they've gotten stricter. No, they're not for the intent of trying to prevent you from having guns. They're there to protect your rights of having guns. Believe it or not, they are. They're trying to keep guns out of the hands of criminals. And granted, yes, maybe it's not working, but it's the only plan that they have right now. It's the only plan that they have right now. So when you're screaming, the government needs to do something, the government needs to do something, they are doing something. Maybe it's not working, but it's the only plan they have right now. And if you don't like what they're doing, write to your congressman. Write to all your congressmen in all your states. Your state congressman, write to your federal congressman, your U.S. congressman. Write to them. Write to the president. Post it on their Facebook pages. Tell them that you're unhappy. You have the power to make changes. But please understand everything, and I said this before on the rant, I am not an Obama supporter. I'm not on the left or the far left. I'm not a liberal, nor am I a Republican, nor am I on the right, nor am I a conservative. I'm an independent. I probably lean more towards the Republican side if I'd have to choose one of the two, but I'm more independent than that. I do not listen to Alex Jones, and I don't listen to all these other radio talk show hosts that spew out all these views. I don't listen to that. I just don't, because I'm not influenced by it. I use my own head. I think about it. So just because someone told you something is going to happen doesn't mean it's happening. I mean, yes, they tried to tell you that Obama's trying to abolish the Second Amendment and that he's trying to control you. There is no evidence of that whatsoever. That's an unjustified fear. It is a radical thinking, and it's very dangerous. As I said in the rant, Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin, I might not use those names, but Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, and John Adams, and all these guys that were involved in the Revolutionary War, that were involved in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and all these amendments. None of them were radical thinkers. They were free will thinkers. They were out of the box thinkers. They were innovative thinkers, but they were not radical thinkers. Yes, they formed a government against a tyrannical government, against an English government that prevented them from worshiping the God they chose to worship, that prevented them from having guns, that prevented them from having free will, that prevented them from speaking out against the government. Here's the thing. Our government's not doing that to us. It's not preventing us from having our guns. It's not preventing free speech. It's not preventing us from speaking out. It's not preventing any of that. In fact, Obama actually signed laws that prevented you from preventing people from worshiping the way they want to. Like I said, I'm not an Obama supporter, and I never will. I agree with that right there, that one point. I agree with his gun control law, but I don't support Obama as a whole. I support the office of the presidency. You got to use your head. And yes, I ruffled feathers when I mentioned Wayne Pierce and when I mentioned Brian Kellar and when I mentioned Nick Larson. I know I ruffled feathers. I want you to use your head, not your heart. No matter who I like, no matter what, they can tell me anything they want, and I'll listen. But I use my head before I tell them I'm wrong. I actually listen to all their shows, and I've been listening for quite a while. I've been listening to Wayne Pierce for quite a while, and I've been listening to Nick Larson's That Radio Show for quite a while. I was actually associated with Nick Larson, so I have a great understanding of him, trust me. I actually did his website for a long time, ktrnradio.com. I actually worked with him and worked on his website. I was on his shows, he was on mine, so I know a lot about him. And Brian Kellar as well. But Nick is a radical thinker. I mean, his thinking is dangerous, and it could get people hurt because I think he believes his own rhetoric. And Wayne Pierce had a great show. It was really great, and he made a lot of sense. But I think hanging with Nick has caused him to go off the deep end just a little bit. And, you know, Brian Kellar, he's more stable than that. I mean, he still leans towards Nick a little bit, but he's more stable than that. As I said, I respect Brian Kellar, and I respect Wayne Pierce a whole lot. I can't say that I respect Nick Larson because his radical thinking is dangerous. If he would stop the radical thinking and just tell you the truth, he would be back on track again. That's all he's got to do. I mean, this is a guy who honestly believes in just about every conspiracy under the world. And trust me, when you believe in these kind of conspiracies that he believes in, there's problems. You don't get the truth. You start getting fabricated things. You just don't get facts. But that's neither here nor there. My point is use your head. You want to know why I didn't give you, all the facts, why I didn't present you the evidence on all these things, because I want you to go look it up for yourself. I can present my facts to you, and you can present yours to me, and we can argue over it and say this and this and this. But when you go find the truth yourself, it's a little hard to change that. It's a little hard for someone to change your thinking once you find the truth on your own. And you can't find the truth in conspiracy theorist sites. You can't find the truth in conspiracy theory radio. You can't find the truth in conspiracy theory newspapers. You can't find the truth in any of that. You have to look beyond that. And you have to go out and you have to really, really search everything about the Constitution, every ratification ever made to the Constitution, to the Bill of Rights, every change, every Supreme Court ruling and clarification of all those amendments, every one of them you can find in your local library. It's not going to be easy. It might take you hours. It might take you days. It might take you months. But if you are dedicated enough to finding the truth, you will find it. You will see it. And you will see. And by the way, also, every presidential order ever signed is also in your local library. Every presidential order, executive order, every single one of them, everything done by Congress, you can find in your local library. Why? Because it's required. It's required by your governments that those things be in an open public library. Go look it up for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Like I said, it might take you hours, it might take you days, it might take you weeks, it might take you months. But if you continue to look, you'll find it. And you'll find out there is no change to the Second Amendment that says that assault rifles are covered under the Second Amendment. There is none. There's nothing in the Second Amendment, as defined by the U.S. Supreme Court rulings, that says assault rifles are part of the Second Amendment. In fact, it's contrary. You'll find that the Supreme Court ruling says that the Second Amendment does not cover assault rifles, that assault rifles are not allowed by the average citizen, by the normal U.S. citizen, that they're only for military and police only. The same way with tanks and jet fighters and attack, helicopters. All that is for military and police only. But you're not going to see that. You're not going to know that if you continue to listen to people that give you that doom and gloom that, oh, look out, the government's trying to control you, the government's trying to take away your Second Amendment rights. You're not going to see it. You're never going to find it if you continue to listen to that stuff. You need to get beyond that and go look.